Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
I'm Chris Santomassimo, your host, and welcome to the first podcast of 2025. I'm excited, for the opportunity to talk to interesting folks, as you know, especially if they touch the printing and packaging industries, and today, frankly, is no exception. I'm here with Paul Bradshaw, who's the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer for New Leaf Paper, based in Appleton, Wisconsin. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us, Chris. Appreciate it.
It's nice to talk to somebody in a place that's at least as cold as where we are in New Jersey, so as opposed to our friends in Florida and places like that.
Yeah, it might be a little colder here.
Yeah, I think you might have us beat for sure. So Paul and I got to know each other a little bit, and I was just impressed, Paul, by what you do at New Leaf Paper. So nobody can do a better description of who you are and what New Leaf is than you. So to kind of take it away and tell us a little bit about, and I'll just give a teaser, tell us a little bit about, the sort of the public benefit side of the business and certainly the positive environmental aspects of what you do.
Sure. Happy to do that. New Leaf Paper is made up of, we have three entities within the company, and the company is split into retail and publishing and printing. But we're a registered public benefit corporation in Pennsylvania. And being a registered public benefit corporation really means that we have to file annual report and disclosures that indicate what we do with our profits. So our commitment, and as an open and transparent B Corp, is to really serve to the benefit of multiple stakeholders. And the stakeholders for us include, number one, the environment, our own employees in the form of benefits and compensation. And the communities where we work are very important to us. So, we always like to say a promise given is a promise kept is, well, I've said it the wrong way. A promise given is a promise kept. But we like to give back to the communities where we work. And the last stakeholder for us is, of course, our shareholders. So as a registered benefit corporation, it's really a commitment to do more with our profits. And that's what it's about. So there are multiple levels to that too, Chris, which you and I spoke about before. And the one level is that disclosure that we do publicly where we're registered in the state where we're registered as a corporation. The other part is there's a third party organization called B Corp. And we got certified as a founding B Corp back in 2007. I think there were 82 companies that got certified back in 2007 as a founding B Corp. And B Corp has really grown as an organization. And what B Corp is about really is all of those benefits that we talked about, doing good with what our success allows us to do. What that B Corp does is it holds us accountable to that. So it's a very, very disciplined structure. We get audited every few years, and we get a score in 5 different areas around our commitment to the environment, sustainability, our employees, the community, et cetera. And that score is our evaluation. So we work really hard to not only improve our score, but make sure that everything we're putting in place to grow and be successful allows us to do more good in more places. So that's essentially what a B Corp is about.
Right. Well, what I was also impressed about was the environmental stewardship that you're, firmly focused on as a company. And then even the products that you produce, you're producing things for the educational market, frankly, folks that or kids that are in school, et cetera, and, even in college. So talk a little bit about the product line and how it sort of interlaces with the environmental stewardship focus.
Sure. So the larger part of our business is what we call print and publishing, and that is print and publishing supplier to printers, educational publishers, direct mail companies, sometimes other distributors. And what we do in that business is we design and develop all of our own products. We trademark them. We define what goes into the product and the benefit it should provide. And then we find a supplier to make that for us. So all of our products on the print and publishing side contain between 10% and 100% post-consumer waste. We're really only limited in that regard in what our suppliers can make. And in some product categories, a lot of post-consumer waste can't be used. So the products where it can be used and we find suppliers that can make those products for us, we go as high as we can. So most of our products are 100% recycled. And the other products we offer, we try to fill out the line with products that have as much recycled content as possible in them. And that whole thing is really built around trying to protect both the forest by not harvesting more wood and using more post-consumer waste, which also provides benefit to taking pressure off the waste stream effectively. And when you make recycled products on the paper side, they are lower water usage products, and there's less energy. They're less energy intensive. So you get greenhouse gas savings, you get water savings, you take pressure off the waste stream, you take pressure off the forest, and hopefully then provide a benefit to your customers with a more ecologically beneficial product. That on the publishing side, on the print and publishing side, we supply that paper to educational publishers, so it would go into textbooks. We're one of the largest suppliers in the U.S. For textbook paper. So students, as you mentioned before, would be using that product and not necessarily know it, that it's one of our products. And then on our retail business, one of the businesses we have on the retail side is what we call New Leaf Retail. And that product area is focused on taking our brand to the consumer and effectively to students and adult journalers. So we make spiral bound notebooks, journals, perfect bound journals, copy paper, memo books, products like that consumers can use. We sell it direct to consumer through e-com, through Amazon, or we sell it through distribution into bricks and mortar as well. Those products are almost exclusively 100% post-consumer waste in the paper products and the cover products for each of them. And then we really work hard to make sure that every component going into every product, it has an environmental benefit. So in our spiral bound products, 85% of the tin used for the spiral is actually recycled material as well. They're all vegan products, so any adhesives are not animal based. And we do everything we can, as mentioned, in every part of the manufacturing process to make sure that the components and the manufacturing are environmentally friendly. Soy inks, no VOCs, that kind of thing. So we're very, very proud of that product line, and we've been gaining ground in college bookstores. So there are quite a few students now using our products across the nation, mainly the journal and notebook products.
It's amazing, because the challenge I've heard about and seen with players in the printing and publishing markets is the ability to take advantage of these opportunities to do more for from an ecological standpoint. It's not that easy, quite frankly, to
right.
find the paper, or find the recycled products and even all of the the soy-based inks and all of those things to make it all work and come together. I'm assuming that for New Leaf, that was really a mission from day one, is to have, that reduced carbon footprint and reduced environmental footprint sort of up and down the product line and up and down the operation.
Right. Well, the benefit for us coming out of the printing and paper market, where we had products that already we knew were very sound environmentally, and taking that into a retail market, is we already knew how to go through the certification process, how to qualify suppliers. We already had the raw material for much of the product. All the text and all the cover is made by our partners already, so we use our own brands for that. And then it was really about combining that B Corp culture with developing new suppliers using those raw materials. And so we did have to search quite a bit to find the right partners to be able to make products without animal-based adhesives, for example, and having the capability to get certified to handle raw materials for us from an FSC standpoint. But once we put it together, it really works well. And it's nice for us because where we don't have the ability on the print and publishing side to necessarily control the outcome on all of the paper products because of limitations in manufacturing, we can take those that do meet those high standards into a retail market and just define new products out of those, and then work closely with our vendors to make sure that they meet all of the other standards. And with us, B Corp is cultural. It's being open and transparent and defining our needs from an environmental sustainability standpoint is all part of the dialogue with our suppliers. So once we got those products developed, it was a matter of how quickly could we get distribution and get to the market, and then develop our e-commerce platform. And that's really grown in the last year.
Must have a tight relationship with your suppliers. I'm curious, when you went out to market to create all these vendor and supplier relationships, what was the reaction? Was there excitement there, or was it a challenge for a lot of the suppliers?
All of the above, really. Some vendors it was quite a challenge. And honestly, we found we couldn't work with everyone because of that. And, the challenge in the U.S. really around book manufacturing, and specifically in the notebooks and journals is a lot of that manufacturing has moved off overseas. And, we as a company don't do anything overseas. We don't import any products. All of our suppliers are in North America, and we wanted to bring composition books, for example, made in the USA back to this market, and it is a challenge, but there are manufacturers here that can do it, and we worked with them to make sure that we got the right components in place, and we're grateful that we were able to find the right partners to be able to do that. But bringing any kind of manufacturing back to the U.S. is always a bit of a challenge. But frankly, there's more and more coming this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I think is really interesting is that you've taken what some people might view as commodity products when it comes to the notebooks anyway, and you've created a differentiating factor in your product line and as far as your company goes.
Yeah. And that's why the branding is really built around sustainability, so that messaging carries through. And it's not just the branding, it's in the design, it's in the presentation, it's in the, everything we do from a go-to-market standpoint, retail presentation is built around sustainability. So that messaging carries through. And, you're right. I mean, we can't compete, frankly, in a commodity market where you want to buy a notebook for $1, because those notebooks are all coming from, mostly from Asia, or India. And, that's just in our view, it's more of a consumption product. It's a cheap commodity. But for us, if you care about the environment, if you have a desire to have higher quality books, heavier paper, you understand the benefits with potentially the design that we incorporate into it. Those are the customers and clients that we're looking for, and that's where we've had success.
And I dare say that's why you're having success in the university market, right? Because you're, getting, share of the space on the floor of a university bookstore, for example. Not so easy, right? So you got to set yourself apart somehow. Yeah,
and a good example of that is this past year we had University of Tennessee wanted to have a larger back to school display around sustainable products. And we were a major part of that. And it turned out to be a really strong seller for them. So as you entered the bookstore, typically there would be all the back to school materials, notebooks and pens, and all the materials that students might need. And they really designed that whole aisle to have a sustainability benefit. And that the promotion of that drove sales, and their sales went up dramatically. We had about a third of the products, the paper products in that display, in that aisle, were New Leaf paper products. And that worked really, really well for them. So it has to be a commitment, at the university level. And then, of course, most of the university bookstores are owned by or run by Follett or Barnes & Noble College. And you have to have that relationship at that level as well. So it's a challenge to get all the way through the channel, but when you successfully develop it and can demonstrate that there's benefit and value there for the student and the students want it, that's where we've been able to continue to grow and gain shelf space.
Yeah. What do you see on the horizon, whether it be the short-term horizon or maybe a little bit longer term, in terms of, sort of a voluntary focus on sustainability in the market, or where you think the industry is going in sort of a general direction in terms of, are we going to see more and more recycled components in some of the products that you sell, or, is the industry getting more used to the idea of incorporating sustainability in its focus?
Yeah, I think the industry clearly has moved down the continuum toward a higher, more sustainable enterprise. The challenge again in North America is we do have higher environmental regulations, higher standards, and it makes, from a cost standpoint, it has made it difficult for paper manufacturers to remain competitive. But if you look at the packaging side of the business, the vast majority of the raw material there is recycled material because the infrastructure has been built for that business around collecting and reintroducing that fiber. And from a cost standpoint, it's cheaper to do that. On the fine paper side, it's a little more challenging. There are fewer de-inking plants in North America than there have been in the past. The four that exist are committed to it and have done a very good job of improving their quality and reducing the debris in the fiber. And some of the products that we provide, for example, are very high quality. You wouldn't, by looking at them, you wouldn't necessarily notice that they're recycled. But the industry has had to get better environmentally, and the regulations will continue to drive that. So what we're seeing is the energy profile for most mills is improving. The amount of post-consumer waste and waste in total is increasing in the industry. And even on the virgin paper side, the forest management requirements have improved so that really protecting the forest and managing it properly as opposed to clear cutting and not replanting. Those in North America, it's not really an issue around forest management as it has been in South America and Indonesia and a couple other hotspots in the world where forest destruction is really causing the majority of the climate change issue. A lot of that forest conversion is for agriculture, frankly, in South America and in Indonesia, and that's caused a lot of the forest area loss. In North America, we don't really have that issue. The Canadian forest, the boreal, has been there's been a lot of activity around protecting it for many reasons, and there's been a lot of success around managing it. Canada does a great job of managing forestry overall. And in the U.S., there's a lot more plantation forest for the pulp and paper industry, and that's managed. You could make an argument that that's not as sound environmentally because it doesn't provide the ecosystem for animals and plants, the diversity, as a regular natural forest would. But at least there's management to allow the trees to be regrown and planted, at a 5-to-1 ratio, replanted and managed as a crop as opposed to just destroying the forest and replacing it with agriculture or cattle grazing or something along those lines.
Right. So really it sounds like it's becoming easier in a sense because you've got the infrastructure built. There's more of an industry focus on it, even though maybe some of the facilities are limited to your point. But when you're talking about a premium product, you have the ability to where the buying decisions are not so elastic, that folks are focused on the quality first, and they'll pay a little bit extra for that quality, which then furthers your goals really to be able to use sustainability in your operations.
Right. Yeah, and where we've had success with clients on both sides of the business is where there is a desire to have a more sustainable product and a higher quality product. So, the equation in business is always you can provide great service, great price, great product, and pick any two of the three. And with sustainability, we have to lean toward quality as one of the drivers for us because it has to differentiate. You can't get any kind of premium if you don't have a better product. And so our products are designed either to have benefits on the publishing side from either a brightness or from a basis weight yield standpoint to provide benefit to the publisher while giving them a more sustainable product. Or on the consumer side, they're certainly designed to be a little bit heavier and more substantial and a better writing tool, so that consumers see the benefit not only in the environmental, but the touch and feel and usage of the product is there for them, the function. So price is one that we don't necessarily control. It's always going to be a little bit of a premium when you have products like we do, but you have to find a way to really service it very, very well and produce a product that is higher quality. And that in both areas, I think we've accomplished that.
Well, congratulations on really incorporating not only a customer focus in terms of quality, but the sustainability messaging and sustainability goals into the product line. Very impressive, because I think those things are a little bit disparate and really not that easy to put together, and you guys have done it successfully.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell folks that are listening to the podcast, Paul, where they can check out the New Leaf retail outlet that you talked about.
Sure. New Leaf Retail, the easiest place is really on Amazon. Everybody's familiar with how to find it there. We have a New Leaf paper store. And we also own another business on the retail side called Arnold Grummer. And Arnold Grummer is a neat, it's more of a craft and hands-on educational tool, but it's about hand paper making. So we provide all of the materials through Arnold Grummer for hand paper making. And in today's world, that's an artistic endeavor and part of STEAM in the education world. So we do sell some of those products into schools for hand paper making. And Arnold Grummer is just an interesting business because it's named after a gentleman who was a paper scientist who's renowned in the industry, and his family carried on the business. We acquired it last year, and we've tried to add that to our e-commerce profile to build beyond the bricks and mortar that we have in the education space into Amazon and our Shopify sites as well.
Very cool. I could see some Cub Scouts taking advantage of those things too, right?
Yeah, we do quite a few classroom demos, which is fun. Where we're located in Appleton, the paper museum it's no longer called the Paper Museum. It's the Atlas Science Center, but they have a paper making lab in the building. And actually, one of Arnold's inventions called the Great American Paper Machine, which is a tabletop paper machine that he built, that he took on the road for demonstrations. And that's in that facility. And we volunteer quite a bit, and have in the past anyway, with students to do hand paper making there using our materials.
Very cool. Good stuff. Well, Paul, thanks so much for getting together today to share, the details about what you do. I could see a lot of pride, or hear a lot of pride in your messaging, and hope that you continue to experience the success that you've seen.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to a prosperous 2025.
Well, let's hope joining the Think Factory podcast will give you a little bit of a boost there, hopefully.
That's right.
Well, thank you again.
With you.
Oh, it was terrific. So just to sum it up, this has been Paul Bradshaw, who's the Chief Executive Officer from New Leaf Paper. And I'm Chris Santomassimo from OGC Solutions, the sponsor of the Think Factory podcast. We'll see you next time.